So first of all, again, I want to thank you for sharing this moment with me and for all the wisdom and the universal truths that you share with the world. I discovered your teachings through a documentary, and really everything you explained there really was identical to what my spiritual team has told me for years. So again, thank you for honoring me with your presence. Now, some people might not know who you are, so I thought maybe it would be good if you could introduce yourself a little bit.
Well, my name is Rahelio. I live in Sedona, Arizona, which is in Southwest United States. And we're famous here for the Red Rock country. The Grand Canyon is in Arizona, and all around this Southwest Four Corners area is a very powerful landscape. It's a very desert environment, which is very powerful in its own right. And Sedona is like a main attraction now, especially for people on spiritual pilgrimage, because the land here is, you just drive in from interstate coming from Phoenix or wherever. As soon as you get into the vicinity of seeing the Red Rock Mountains in the distance, it just jolts people. And people are like, oh my God, oh my God, like what's this? Oh my God. A person like yourself who's very empathic, a lot of the women especially bust open and start crying and I'm home, or whatever it is blocked opens up, and I always enjoy that. And so people come here looking for, like, where's the vortex? It's called the Sedona vortex phenomenon. Mm-hmm. And I say to them, if you're saying, oh my God, wow, oh my God, that's the vortex.
The thing, I've always, it's on my to-do list to go to Sedona. It really is. Went to California last year, going to Vermont this year for my own life event again. So I think Sedona might be my next one, because I've heard so many stories about the energies there, but also there's a lot of, outer world activity is what I've heard. Have you ever seen any star people, ever seen or interacted or found or felt their energy or anything like that?
I have had encounters, and whether it was UFO, and those people or others have let me know their presence is there, and has jolted me by. I'm not a person who's in the astral plane, the psychic realms. I'm usually grounded in the here and now, but I've had those encounters come merge into my 3D and show me some things that kind of blew me out a number of times throughout my lifetime. No matter where I've been, I've had these kind of experiences, and I've searched for answers to those questions, like why and what's this about, and what's it mean, and why me, and I was very driven to know, and I went through a very intensive study period to balance all this psychic phenomenon I was experiencing, to give me some perspective, and it's taken me to this place where, as you mentioned, people channel through information. Mm-hmm. I don't channel it through like a spontaneous channel like many people are. It's through my knowing, and through my investigations, and through my experiences that has opened up that descriptive format that I can now fill in those questions.
I think when you open your awareness to it, you'll start to receive things, and it's not always, hey, how's it going? It's just things that you'll notice around you that you didn't notice before, things you might feel. It's, and I think that's a great thing, because so many people want direct contact with other species, and that's fine, but don't expect them to make a phone call. Watch for the signs, watch for the things around you. Open your awareness, and you will receive.
Yes, I've had a few phone calls, but otherwise, just what I do is I connect the dots.
Right. So can you share a little bit about those phone calls?
Well, people always ask me, how did it all begin for you? How did you get on the shamanic path?
Yeah.
And it wasn't my choice in the beginning. it was circumstances that pushed me into it. And I didn't know that that's what I was doing, but I stumbled into it. When I was a teenager, people were experimenting with marijuana and psychedelics. And I discovered right away that I was way more sensitive than my friends. And they wanted to use a certain amount, and young guys being, just being young guys. I found myself going through kind of opening up this door and kind of facing death and facing my fear. Like I didn't know I had fear. I had no idea that I had that kind of fear. There was a fear of death that was over me. It's almost like a black hole or a doorway into the unknown was like opened on my psyche.
Wow.
And that was kind of like, it made me have to question everything about who am I and why do I feel this and what's that. And so I began to become more introspective with those kind of things, because going along with the party, all of a sudden I'm dying, or I'm in an altered state that is like me having to say what is the meaning of life. And my ego starts to dissolve, and no ego and what's going on, and when everybody's going into their ego. And so, and then experiencing with psychedelics, blowing my crown chakra open and having the mystical experience. But before having that, would ultimately become a very blissful experience, having to face the fear that I was going to lose my mind and blow my kundalini out like that. So I had to go through some very intensive crack the shell open, you might say, through these experiences. And then
it sounds like a lot of people have to go through kind of a traumatic experience in order for us to really go inwards and really start doing that search, doesn't it?
Yeah, some people get very sickness and fever and other things that put them into a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to that crisis, it's like, okay, Great Spirit God, what's going on? Help me, because I'm dying, or I don't. What's going on? So I had to start praying, because I didn't understand why I was being cracked open like that. And so my prayers were answered, and I was helped. I think I was blessed through it, through what could have been a disastrous situations for me. I kept pushing myself into those like a near death transformative type of experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But it made me pray to get through it. And I feel sorry for a lot of the young people who are very sensitive and they don't know it. They don't have a spiritual background, and they don't have anybody that knows, and they end up in the hospital, like OD'd, or things that other people are just having fun with. So that's, some people are very sensitive that way. And
yeah, but I think there's a lot of a more spiritual approach to our experiences in life. It's starting to really flourish. It's really starting to increase more as normality. While before it was just kind of, everything was kind of woo-woo and yeah. Now everything, people are seeking truth. People are seeking interconnection. People are seeking a connection to God's source, to Jesus, to Christ consciousness. And so the spiritual understanding and the spiritual support, I think, is slowly but surely starting to rise. So, and I do believe that children are coming in more sensitive than they used to, more awakened. I have two girls of my own. They both have autism. My youngest is pointing. She's going, ghost, ghost. She says she's waving at him. She is, full blown seeing them. And then I have another girl who communicates with me telepathically. She just looks at me and I instantly receive what she wants. She does not communicate verbally. So a lot of the children are coming in more awakened, I feel. I don't know if have you experienced that?
Yeah. Did your children get the vaccination shots?
Yes, and that's how they received it,
I
unfortunately.
think that's
But
what's
it's
going on.
part of a plan.
I have I feel very much that there is a certain ignorance being perpetuated through our medical institution,
Mm-hmm.
where I think a lot of people think they're doing the right thing and they want to do the right thing, but they're being, misled by somebody at the top. Like, why they put in fluoride in the water,
Yeah.
put mercury in our teeth, put in mercury in our energy efficient light bulbs. Why are they spraying chemtrails in the sky?
Oh, we see them all the time here. So
Mhm.
I think the other day we were going outside, and it was just one line. It was almost like a checkered pattern.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, "That's just airplanes." I'm like, "If airplanes flew that way, and if it would stay behind that long, they'd be crashing into each other."
Yeah, so there is something going on that there are some people who are tweaking the system to work
Mm,
against us. And I think also, I hate to say it, but I think it's a conspiracy against the children. And I think also all the electronics and all the programming is getting the children caught into all that. They're becoming the new marketplace to children through the multimedia.
mhm.
So this is a very difficult thought when you really look at it, and so that, because when we feel disempowered, we can't do. What can we do about it?
Yeah,
That's when people get
exactly.
angry. That's when we get angry. That's when we get all upset. And I just go, "Thy will be done, Great Spirit." That something is going to happen. That I have faith that there can be intervention when enough of us are saying, "Help us to deal with this. Help us to."
Yeah, I think we need to focus on what we do want to see, but we also cannot just be, apathically. We really have to also take action and just stand up for what we believe in, but in a very peaceful and loving way,
Yeah.
not with violence. You cannot extinguish fire with fire. I'm very much about bringing awareness, and standing tall and focusing on what we do want to see achieved, on the love. There's so much beauty still in our world. There's so much love, but all the focus is going to the negativity, and there is a lot of that. But I believe, the law of attraction is very much a universal principle. And so the more we invest into starting the change within, starting with how do we approach people, how do we take care of our environment, even if it's just your garden, your home, what you bring into your home, what you buy. I think, it starts within in order to see that expressed outside of ourselves. And I think that's very important to remember.
Yes, because it's like the asking the Great Spirit. The Great Spirit has a plan,
Hmm.
so that
Yeah, there's
we
always,
can, we can
this is
be.
what, I don't know if you saw my Jesus channeling, but Jesus said, despite the fact that we see chaos, there's always a universal order trying to emerge from that chaos. And he said it's right there. We just
Yeah,
need to learn to embrace it and stand for
yes,
it.
yes, that's it. Because we have to first align ourselves to it
Yes.
without getting in the shadow of our own reactionary patterns and conditions. Because when you're fighting from your own pain and anger, all you're caught is in the shadow. But if we can bring that power down and then just make a stand, like, I don't think we always have to even do anything, but enough people gather with an intent, like a
Hmm.
prayerful intent, that heaven on earth, peace on earth, love and forgiveness, and help guide our leaders, help the people wake up. Because right now it's divide and conquer. People are polarizing right wing and left wing, or religious is getting pulled into it, and and those ideas are causing us to separate each other and judge each other and become project blame on each other, and then there's no reconciliation because everybody's polarizing. So there's got to be somebody in the middle holding a frequency
Yeah.
that can seep into the collective consciousness.
Right. And there's, now that there's so much now about female and male. And I look at these dualities that are going on in these kind of, it's almost like a competition nowadays. And I look at and I go, we both have female and male energy in us. We are not just female or male. We are actually both combined into one vessel. At least that's how I received it from my channelings. Um, so to me, it always seems a little absurd, female, male, and they separated. And I go, we have both energies inside of us.
Well, we've been living in a patriarchal time, which is the hierarchy of society is male on top, female's been repressed.
Hmm.
So um, the female has been wounded by this masculine domination, but also the man has been wounded also because we've been, all that expectation has been put upon us. So the woman who brings in this soulful energy. She nurtures and sustains her man, her children. She holds the prayer, the spiritual dimension to support the family this way. The man's out there trying to make it. It's a very difficult world. He's out there struggling with the darkness of the world. He comes home and the woman's trying to buffer him, his pain, his struggle, his frustration. So to the past, this has caused a lot of the men to abuse their women because they needed to work that anger out. Mm-hmm. And they have had all this anger being blocked in their own ambitions, and especially poor neighborhoods, communities, etc. So the woman's been taking on the abuse. This comes from the way back from Adam and Eve, and Eve eating the fruit tree of knowledge and being punished by the gods had to kick them out. So that and other reasons have put the females being secondary, pushed them down in a patriarchal system. So there's been a lot done wrong by the people in charge. And so there's all this anger. And the women, especially the women who have been really abused this life, have a lot of rage. And sometimes what they'll do with that rage and that anger becomes a movement. And that it's up against that corrupts those people. And then they'll try to take down innocent men who didn't do what they claimed that they did. And so it's starting to go too far to the left extreme with anger and rage. So therefore discredit the women's movement, because the women gathering their voices, awakening now. It's so important for our planet for the women's voice to be in a sacred healing space. When it's coming from rage and being abused and wanting vengeance, that brings in the dark side. And they don't even know that they become a conduit for the dark force to work through them. And so the key is for the feminine to bring healing within the female consciousness, and that can help to heal the male consciousness, and vice versa. We can be a support to each other, and as the extremes will always blame each other in a whole polarity, but through the power of love is how we can heal that wounded man, wounded woman that we are, our inner children.
Yeah, I think both parties need healing and finding balance. That's very important. A lot of people talk about 2012 ascension shift from male energy into female energy. How's your perspective on that?
Well, when I think of female energy, I don't think of it as a human woman. I think of it as the dream side of our consciousness, where our rational side, it's our daytime conscious, our rational mind, that's our male side. Whereas our dream side is our female side. So men are most naturally more focused in their rational mind, mastering their science, mastering their work, what they're doing, being focused like that. Whereas a woman has that dream mind more accessible, and many, many women are much more psychically open to channeling information like that. Now, both of those have to find a balance, because the rational mind can be very limited and not receive the truth because the facts are not in yet for that person, and they can get stuck in their intellectual block. And some people who are into this channeling, etc., can get totally delusional if they're not careful. So these two have to come into the center to align to the soul wisdom, because both sides have truth, and both sides have limitations. So as we move into our feminine side, it means we're opening our dream minds up more and more. And for some people can bring enlightenment, and for some people can make them go crazy.
Yeah. So, I think if the thing that I don't know how you see it, but I truly believe, we came down here to have a human experience. But I think some people they go into the spiritual, they go into meditation and all of that stuff, trying to escape the human existence. And I think when spiritual people go into that mindset of just always trying to be connected to something higher than themselves right now, they're always connected. When we only focus on trying to escape our current existence, and I think that you're also kind of escaping the reason why you're here. You're not fulfilling the purpose the reason why you wanted to come here in the first place. So I do think that it's very important for people to open their spiritual connection, to reconnect to their ancestors, to reconnect to source, to reconnect to the guides that are helping them in this journey. But at the same time, we also need to ground ourselves in our human existence. And I think that's that balance also that we need to find between the grounding is the very masculine energy, which doesn't mean male, but just masculine energy. It's a positive and a negative, isn't it? You know, when I communicate it with source, you know, are you man or female? It's an it. It's both. So, you know, it's not a gender in any way or form. It is an energy source where you have a positive and a negative energy. And that's what we call feminine and male energy. Anyway, I'm probably babbling.
You have people who want to ascend, they feel special, they feel they're awakening, other people are not.
Yeah.
Reminds me of a little video, a talk that this one man, his name is Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's like a monk, very slow speaking, very focused,
Yes.
he's all about being present now. And he said something I really liked, and it was, if you think you got it all together spiritually, go spend the holidays with your family. And go spend the holidays with your family. In other words, people go back with their families and they stuck in the old box that they grew up with, you know, because the family won't let them be who they are, that they keep putting in a box of who they think they are or think they should be.
Yeah.
So what do? People want to be validated. If you don't get validated, then it frustrates us.
Mm-hmm.
If we get frustrated, then we try to prove and overcompensate that, no, we're not this, we are this. And so it's that being at peace with what is, not getting caught in the ego description of how people see us. So for me, I had very mystical experiences when I was in my 20s, especially. A UFO encounter, had a contact with certain spiritual beings, etc. And I began to study and learn, and then I realized that there's not anybody that can really understand me, what I'm talking about. There's very few people that you know, on that wavelength, and I felt so unique and so separate, and I didn't relate to people. I didn't relate to their ideas and values, and because I was in my own quest, and it made me feel very alone.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of thing of the being too much ahead of my time for the people that I was around and the environment that I was. And what I realized was that the more I felt special and unique, and the more I was caught in duality. And that we live in a unified field, and we're all one. Everything's a mirror back to us. So in my unconscious expectation to be recognized for who I am, and not getting that, I realized that I had to let go of the idea of who I thought I was,
Mm-hmm.
and just be positive, just be light, just be inspired. Have you ever talked to somebody where you try to share your truth with them, and maybe while you talk to them, see limitations in their belief system and try to fill them in on what the truth really is, and then they get locked into their truth, and then next thing you know, you have this conversation that's what I'm talking about. It's like that was something that was a trap for me, and I found myself pulled into people's realities, and I realized that was like, say, like a trap, that who I thought I am, or what I thought they need to hear, or what I wanted to share, what I wanted to give to somebody who didn't really want it because they're in their own belief system.
Mm-hmm.
Like in my work, I'm a spiritual guide. I take people out on the land, and I do healing work. I do readings. I do a much work with people, and so they pay me and they listen to me. But when I go just hang out and see what's going on, and start talking with people, and then I start running into people's dogmas, and trying to speak to them in a way to show them another way of looking at things, and get caught with, oh, don't do that. Because in some place there was an attachment in me to being heard. And therefore, it's our attachments that get us caught in karmic situations where who's right, who's wrong. Everybody must be right and wrong. So what I've learned is that just to shine my light, uh, I don't give advice unless people ask, and I don't try to convince anybody unless they want my perspective. And if they really don't want my perspective, they just want somebody to spring off of. I said I respect that idea. I don't resonate with that, but it's okay. We can agree to have, just disagreement. Then I don't need to talk about it because there are people who are obsessed with their own ideas, and if you get caught into it, they need somebody to talk to because they're working out that process. I did that a long, long time ago.
So I have a question for you. I'm a kind of a big meditator, something I picked up while studying Buddhism. Do you meditate? And if you do you, how do you experience that? And do you use any kind of tools to assist your meditation? Like for me, I use music. I use music that I just listen to, and I go into a meditative state, and then I start to feel my body vibrate. Literally, I can feel my body vibrating. And then usually I'll start hearing messages, or I'll start seeing presence in my mind's eye, not with my eyes, but in my mind. Do you have any tips for my followers, or how do you meditate?
I do. I do like some ethereal music. I do a lot of work on the land with people. So I like doing a sunset meditation. So the sun's about 10 minutes before setting, we gaze the sun directly. And then like for about, depends how bright the sun is, but from like 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then close our eyes. It lights up all this color into your mind's eye, activates your mind's eye. And we do, I guide breathing into the mind's eye, through the eyes, through the triangle of the forehead like that. And then you can also do, like when you breathe in the light into your mind's eye, you can also hold your ears so that the silence of your own mind, you begin to tune into your own frequencies. Hold your eyes, or gaze the sun and hold your ears, or just, mostly it's like working with the breath.
Yeah. Breath
and eyes, ears. Those are the three, like the main ones. And I teach a breath meditation. It's one of these ancient sacred breaths. It used to be a secret one, bringing the breath up the spine and up the back and over the front, using some sound tones with it. But sometimes, I just like to sit, just be, not doing anything, be, just chill and just feel my connection to the divine, and breathe in light, and not necessarily channel anything.
Yeah.
But that once in a while.
I think the breath is very important. I think focusing on the breath is a very easy tool. It's always there. And it really kind of connects you with the idea of, I'm here, I'm alive, I am human. But at the same time, it releases all the chitter chatter that goes on in the mind, because you're refocusing to one point. So for me, the breath is very important. And then I usually, that's how I start. I put music in, I focus on my breath. I literally in my head go breathing in, breathing out. I would just do that for a few minutes. And then I'll start seeing colors. My eyes are closed, but I'll start seeing colors that kind of float like mist. They're usually purple, blue, like a kind of a dark bluish colors that I see. And sometimes it goes all completely white. And then I just hear conversations, or sometimes I start seeing people coming in. So that's how I experience it. Another question for you. Now, there's so many light workers. I call everybody light workers because there's so many labels. You're a psychic, you're a medium, you're a channeler. We're all the same, and we all have the same abilities. But some are better than others, I guess, depending on what you want to choose.
The body has many parts, many organs, fingers, toes, eyes, nose. So we're like different parts of the body of the one, the collective human. So some people are more third eye, others are more sensory, emotional, empathic. Others have gifted in their thinking, in science. There's different skills that we bring through. Others are healing touch or gift of teaching with the words or singing or through healing through dance. There are different skills that we can that we're stronger with, and so it's just a matter of knowing what works for you. And
yeah, it's about testing different things, seeing, trying to, it's about self-exploration, trying different things and see what really pops out for you. Now, with all these healers coming in, and many different teachers saying many different things, sometimes even contradictive things, people always ask me, how do I know who is telling the truth? And I always tell people, you have to go inside and take what resonates with you and disregard or step away from what doesn't, because there's going to be truth a little bit of everywhere. Do you have any tips for people how they can increase their intuitive knowing, how they can increase their knowing of what is truth and what might be an individual's perspective on things?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of disinformation out. There's so much information that's half truth, and to discern who is channeling the light, who is bringing through the wisdom teaching, who is being influenced by the false spirits, bringing in a false teaching. So there is definitely spirits giving false teachings. That's happening for sure. And people don't know it, that they are pawns to false spirits. That's something that, if it's not about the love, if it's not about love and free will, and if it's not a frequency that is bringing the best out of people, then it needs to be looked at carefully, that it could be dangerous. There can be also false spirits speaking through to boost the ego, and in boosting the ego, that's a false teaching. When you know you got a false teacher coming through, a false spirit, it's going to be fear-based and cultish, and it's going to cause people to separate and judge it and pull apart. So we see this mentality come into the planet where people are more polarized. That's a false spirit. It's an antichrist. And there's not just one antichrist. There's anybody who chooses to come into positions of power and go in a separative mind like that. That's a part of the antichrist. So, it's like me, I like a lot of answers. And so I like to investigate. I like to investigate. When I was younger, I used to kind of debate who was right and who was wrong. My girlfriend I lived with back in the day, we discovered in our meditation, she was a medium. And my master teacher would speak through her to me every week, give me discourses. And he would say to me, you search for the truth, you're arguing in your mind about right and wrong and what's. So you don't need to do that. You already know the truth. You already know what it is. And so I spent time in the past trying to find, everybody's argument, and kind of my male warrior stuff was cutting down their arguments and saying, that's false. This is false. This is true. This is true. And so now I don't have any need to do that. But what I do find is that a lot of people are being influenced by information that I feel is false. And because of that, it's like they already believe it. They're already attached to it. So I just say, if it's not love, it's not the truth. Now we can say we got to be warriors in this world and have tough love, but it's ultimately everything we do is going to be a mere reflection back to us. Everything we think and do, it's all recorded, and so that is with us. And it's so important to know that as you treat others and treat the world, you are treating yourself. And so to do the best we can do to make things right. There's a teaching called Ho'oponopono. Have you heard of that?
I have heard of it, but I don't know what it's about.
Well, all the true shamanic traditions utilize it. It's a Hawaiian term. It means taking total responsibility to make things right. Like if I've done something wrong, I can stay wrong with it, or I can make it right. But in a quantum concept that you and I are really one, we're part of the human collective.
Mm-hmm.
That whoever comes into your space, no matter how ignorant or tainted they are,
They are part of you. They're your
yes.
family.
So the teaching is judge not lest you judge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you judge that person with an emotional attachment to that judgment,
Which is also a teaching Jesus made.
I love Jesus's teachings.
Yeah.
I just don't like what a lot of Christianity has done with it.
Yeah. Well,
In
I
the
was
name of
never
good.
raised with religion, and when they asked me to channel Jesus, I was like, I don't even know if he really existed, but yeah, he did. And what came out to me was so
Yeah,
inspiring, and it was all based on pure love, and
yeah.
it was amazing.
Yes, I love Jesus' teachings, and if it, religious people can distort his teachings very much.
Yes.
Because everybody's trying to be good and do right, and if you're not doing good, you're not doing right. You should be getting your life right with Jesus. You should be, and then I don't think that's right at all. Then I'm gonna project that judgment on you, and when people project those judgments, say for instance somebody comes to you and they're messed up with their life, and that judgment, if we put an emotional charge on it, that we begin to respond, we awaken something in us that is that person. So from a Ho'oponopono perspective, we say, I'm sorry, Great Spirit, please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. This is the basic idea that person, you're healing that person's wounds inside you. And then you can say it as if you're actually that person, saying it to the Great Spirit. You become that person saying it. And in this way, you can heal your family lineages. Because sometimes talking to family members or ex-lovers, or whether everybody wants to be right, nobody wants to be wrong, there's no reconciliation, it's just hatred can happen with people who love each other. Words get in the way. So just by saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, not from an ego perspective where now I'm the victim because I'm bad, but my soul says that we are in this together. I'm sorry that we're going through this. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Talking to the Great Spirit, but also the Great Spirit in that other person. And so you can heal people because you're healing that part of them that's wounded inside of you. So you can heal yourself. You heal that wound that they represent in your life, and that can heal them too. And the guy that popularized it, he was in a mental institute in Hawaii where some of the patients, prisoners, they had criminal backgrounds, anger, drug addiction, alcoholism. They had a lot of unresolved anger from wounded childhood, broken families, etc. And just by practicing the Ho'oponopono, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, with them without even counseling them, just doing it as he would contemplate their rap sheet and do that for the person. They were getting out of the mental institute. They were getting healthy and getting released. So he proved that it worked in that kind of a setting. That's like Jesus on the cross saying, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing. Because the big illusion that Buddha speaks of, it's like the world's an illusion. Well, the world's not an illusion. The illusion is that this is all there is.
Yeah.
And so if we think this is all there is, then we're going to attach to this and this is all there is. But no, we die, we go on, there's other realms. And so we're not ready for what comes next, and we've been so attached here. Now we're stuck reincarnating down here. But when we know that we come from a heaven realms, the illusion that we're separate, that we know we come from there, that we can raise our frequency to that love, that light. Most people encounter that through a near-death experience when they go out of the body and meet beings of light and love and family members, etc. And they know that love exists. And like, what am I doing attached to the 3D? Because why am I attached to this? I want to be up here. Like, okay, but I have children, I have unresolved things here, I have purpose I want to fulfill still, an opportunity to come back, bring that love down to earth. And we know that love is the truth, and this world here is going to pass. Everything changes here, and you're going to die eventually anyway. So this isn't our final outcome, this earth plane. So you can bring that down, and no matter how much evil comes at you from other people, just hold that light, that love, because we come from that love. And just knowing that and having faith in that, that's the big challenge, because mostly we forget that we come from there, and then we start reacting to the negativity. We get caught down here, and we lose our connection there. So just keeping that conduit of love, or that conduit of wisdom, or that conduit of spiritual inspiration, and then whatever approaches us, we don't have to be attached to our reaction to it. So when you see evil in people, what that should do for you, instead of fighting it with evil and anger and frustration, is like calling your light and put your protection up, put your protective light up around you, and say, okay, the evil is there to awaken the light within us, because it's all great spirit. Great spirit is both good and evil.